When we have good news, we think the support will come. When we have a bad day, we think the support will come. And then sometimes it doesn't come in either situations, and we're left wondering, what the heck? That's the thought behind this week's Sunday question. Hey everyone, I'm Denise Brown, and I write what I call a Sunday question. I like to think of a good question to give guidance to me during the week because when I have a good question in my head, my mind will seek out a good answer. I found this strategy to be really helpful during stressful situations. And so I continue this practice and I continue with you, hoping that this practice also helps you. I've been thinking about this Sunday question for a while. And there were two situations that sparked this Sunday question. One was something that happened to me, and it really happened to me probably 2.5 years ago. After my parents and my brother died, my sister and I would regularly get together with my brother's widow. We were waiting for her for lunch one day around Christmas, and it was getting closer to my birthday and our sister in law's birthday. So I said to my sister, I've been thinking about how to celebrate our birthdays. How does this celebration, and then I described what I was thinking, sound to you? And my sister kind of had a little bit of a meltdown. She said, I can't even possibly think about that. Why do we have to think about that today? I said, okay, we don't have to. Now, of course, that hurt my feelings, but I just went about the day. My sister in law came, we had a lovely lunch, and then we went home, went through the rest of the next few days. And then my sister sent me a text that said basically, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? I'm so sorry. Of course, that sounds like a great way to celebrate your birthdays. And at the time, I was so grateful that I didn't meet her meltdown with an explosion. Like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you think of us? I'm glad I just let it be. One of my coaching clients shared a story about caring for her husband. Her husband's brother is present in supporting her and her husband. There was one day they shared a meal. My client, her husband's brother, and his wife. And during the meal, my client helped her husband eat. And it was the first time it happened. And she could see her brother in law just having his own version of a meltdown. And his version was to shut down. And so it hurt my client, as you could imagine, because this was a tender moment. And for her to watch her brother in law have a reaction rather than step in to help made that situation even harder for her. And then a few weeks later, during a visit, he was able to help when she was feeding her husband. So it strikes me that sometimes we forget that space can be helpful for another. It can be particularly helpful when we decide not to take it personally and instead choose to give space. And so that's what inspired this week's Sunday question, which is, when can I give space? And here's what I wrote for you. When our life changes, we may struggle to adjust to the change, whether it be a good one or a challenging one. Others in our life might struggle more than we do. For instance, we may earn a promotion at work and believe others in our life will be so happy for us. Our promotion may hit them at a time when they can't keep up at work, so they worry about losing their job. Our win stings because they look at loss. We might be the primary family caregiver for our parent. When our siblings visit, they look like deer in headlights, uncomfortable on the couch as they observe our parent in decline. You do it all while they just sit, wide eyed. In both situations, we may be tempted to judge and then distance ourselves. What if we simply acknowledge their struggle and give space rather than distance? With space, we allow time to process. We also give ourselves space for what we need, whether that be a celebration or quiet time with tears. We also give our relationship an opportunity to shift without that relationship ending. We can take a break without making it a permanent closure, because sometimes another will come back to us after they have processed the situation to be present for us in supportive, comforting ways. We can stay open to that possibility while also focusing on meeting our own needs. We can remind ourselves that space can be the right solution during unsettling situations by asking ourselves this question to start our day: when can I give space? I wonder, when has space rather than distance worked for you? I'd love to know. Share your story in our comments. If this was helpful, hit like. And if you want to receive our content, hit subscribe. Thanks so much for giving space to me every Sunday with our Sunday question. Thanks for listening. I'm Denise Brown.